Hi. I'm going to need everybody to be super gentle on me this morning. It may or may not have been my birthday yesterday, and some of the very forward-thinking HR leaders in this room may or may not have forced me to take shots, which may or may not have led to additional shots, and may or may not have led to a rough morning for me. But here I am, and thank you. Thank you. It's a triumph. I am Toby Harvey. I'm the CEO and founder of Bravely. And my favorite thing about Bravely is it starts with a very human experience that we've all gone through. I worked in digital health before, and I was at a startup called Pager, which is a telemedicine startup, and I got a phone call from a very good girlfriend of mine who was going through some shit at work. And she had just had a fight with her boss. She works at a great tech company that's known for its culture, its HR teams, its forward-thinking, progressive nature. But she hated this guy. Their relationship was broken. She's calling me and she's like, should I go to HR? They're gonna think I'm a whiner. I could maybe transfer teams. I don't know if I can work here. I like the company. I don't like this guy. And I'm on the other end of the line being like, you know, screw that. You're super talented. F that guy. Like, you should just go and like get another job somewhere else, which is probably like the worst friend move that you can make. And it struck me that this was like an HR urgent care moment. Again, I was working in healthcare at the time, and I was like, she needs HR telemedicine. Like, she needs to talk to somebody who can actually like ask her some tough questions, get to the root cause of things, and help her figure her shit out in a way that's not gonna set her up for failure. So that's how Bravely was born. And we started looking into it, and we learned that 7 out of 10 employees are avoiding a difficult conversation at work. They're not speaking out about the things that are bothering them, the things they're upset about, the things they're not getting, or they've been microaggressed or discriminated against, and they're just not dealing with it. And they're losing a lot of time on all of this conflict, all of these strained interpersonal relationships, and they're just like, there's so much data that I could rattle off around how many people are going through different issues at work that they're just not dealing with. And almost half of employees report that they've experienced abusive behavior of some kind at work. And in this current landscape, right, like there are resources at companies and really great HR business partners and really forward-thinking heads of people, but you've got the media talking about HR's failure, HR is not your friend, HR is the enemy, and like it cultivates this sense that like HR just can't be the first step. And before you go to your manager, before you go to your peer, before you go to your direct report, before you go to HR, you need to prepare somewhere. And hopefully you're preparing somewhere privately and not necessarily going to Glassdoor, Blind, and some of these less than wholesome apps where people are venting about things less than constructively. So that's basically we concluded that employees are facing a lot of stressful situations. They're not speaking up. There's not a lot of healthy behavior going on around these issues. And folks are getting mixed advice from their friends, their family, their roommates. They're letting things fester, or they're just leaving for a new job. So what we started to imagine was this world where everybody was proactively and constructively communicating around their issues, having healthy dialogue, approaching difficult conversations super well, not just thinking that the next job is going to solve things and never dealing with the root causes of issues. And we imagined this world where people like really tried to make their jobs work, tried to make their relationships work on both sides, right? Companies and employees. And that's where we come in. So we offer spot coaching and situational coaching in lots of stressful moments when your relationships are broken on your team, when you're struggling to talk about performance and role change, when you think you've been discriminated against or you have somebody stealing credit for your work, all sorts of things that come up in our day-to-day relationships at work. And our app connects you with one of our pros in our network for a phone session where you can get some situational coaching on whatever issue you're facing. So through the app, we match you with somebody who's well-suited to solve your issue. They have experience at a company that looks like yours, your seniority, your role, and the kind of issue that you're facing. We make it super easy to schedule, and then you get on a 45-minute phone call to help talk through what you're facing at work. Who are the pros? That's always the question, right? Like the folks that you're getting connected to on the other end of the line. They're mostly HR business partners, current and former. Some have like moved from coastal hubs like New York and San Francisco for whatever reason. Some are moonlighting on the side. But these are folks who are well experienced in the world of employee relations. They've dealt with these issues on both sides, and they're experts. We also have a mix of ICF certified coaches. They're just really smart, really high EQ, experienced professionals who are there to set you up for success. And we have a very rigorous vetting process to make sure that they're great. And on the phone call itself, some of the core things that we do are a lot of context gathering and probing questions to help people get to root causes and think about the why of something that's happening, help them develop different options and weigh their own pros and cons on the path forward, and then develop an action plan and help them craft what exactly they're going to do, what next step they're going to take. And I always say, like, these phone calls are not about solving the problem itself and fixing everything in one 45-minute conversation. The experience is designed to help you take the next step and have that conversation. And that's all it is. It's trying to get you to make a move, feeling confident, feeling bravely about making that next conversation great. So our CEOs and HR leaders into this? You bet. Yes, thank you. So these issues, like, one of the big reasons why is these issues cost companies a lot of money. We all know how expensive talent turnover. I've probably heard like 10 other companies talk about this since we got here, but it's expensive and time-consuming to deal with a lot of these issues when employees aren't ready to come to the table and have that conversation as well. I had somebody tell me the other day that 50% of the time, she's an HR business partner, she ends up just telling the employee to go back and think about what they really want, like what they want to get out of the conversation, the issue that they're raising. Like, that's crazy. Like, half of the time, she basically has to say, like, go back and prepare better for this conversation. So if we can help folks come to the table a little more prepared, then there's a ton of value add. I love this quote. So recently, the head of people at Evernote, one of our clients, no skin in the game other than me, one of our clients told Entrepreneur Magazine that offering bravely is the right thing to do. If it even keeps one person from leaving, then it paid for itself right there. If you read the article, she also talks about how hard it's going to be to attribute direct ROI, but I'll forgive her for that. The other thing that, and why HR leaders and CEOs like Bravely, is we give qualitative insights, right? We give color, we give narratives to a lot of the data that you're getting from engagement surveys or pulse surveys, but we provide totally aggregated, anonymized, de-identified insights on the themes and trends that we're seeing in the conversations that we're hosting. It's a huge market opportunity. Sometimes we're coming from a D&I budget, and then companies are a diversity and inclusion budget, which companies are increasingly spending more money on, $8 billion a year. Sometimes we're coming from learning and development, which is $70 billion a year in the US, $130 billion worldwide. HR tech, $10 billion. And then my favorite is that every year US companies lose $360 billion on like lost wages, lost time, lost productivity, absences, turnover related to conflict at work. So we like to think that our market size is tapping into like mitigating some of the costs there. We're on the road to impact. We actually only launched in June last year, so we're a relatively young company with a sort of consumer-facing alpha. We threw up a landing page and said, hey, if you have an issue at work, we'll help you out. We trained up our initial network of folks. We raised some money in September from some New York-based investors, and then we launched our first clients in November. And now we're at over 5,000 employees who have access to the platform, growing very quickly. And this year, basically everything is happening faster than we expected, which is a great problem to have. But we are launching some new categories. We're starting to roll Bravely out for some retail workers and like service-based professionals, and less the sort of like office-based professional that we currently serve. We have some channel partnerships in the works that are very exciting, and we'll be raising our Series A later this year. A few of our sample clients, it's mostly forward-thinking, progressive technology companies that are at the cutting edge of this sort of thing. We'll be announcing in the next couple of weeks some like very large enterprise clients, which I'm very excited about. And we've had great press. A lot of it has been centered around sort of the narratives coming out of Uber's like apocalyptic like HR failure and everything there, Me Too, and how HR teams are working to support employees. And we've been very fortunate to sort of be part of that narrative. And the thing that I'm most proud of is that people just love it. Like, they love the phone call. Most of the time, they already know what they're going to do, and they like need to talk it out and get some structure and get some probing and get some coaching, right? A friend of mine who's a very good coach always says he feels guilty that he charges people to basically tell them what they already know. But people love it, great ratings. I'm running out of time. Our product vision here is really around building out more messaging capabilities, more content, and build out the capabilities of the platform and extend more into coaching and proactive learning and development. My background is all startups, like to get things done, and this is my great team, and I'm happy to chat more about who we are afterwards. So thank you so much.